2D platformers. All you do is run and jump, and yet I still get more endorphins and sense of accomplishment than my own education. What better console to explore excellent 2D platformers than on the Nintendo Wii? So join me as we cover 10 of the best 2D platforming games in a new entry of the Wii 100. Decades ago, 2D platformers were all the rage, and then they got tossed aside like an underleveled Pokemon for 3D games. Luckily, the Nintendo Wii would re-embrace the genre, giving it new life for years to come. The 2D platformers are some of the most iconic and popular games on the Wii, so you'll probably know many of these already, but here's hoping I can offer you a surprise or two. And as a rule, my list only covers games that can still be bought and played in 2020, which means WiiWare games don't count. Let's kick this off with one of the most iconic platformers in the entire gaming industry, New Super Mario Bros. Wii. You all know this one. New Super Mario Bros. Wii was the second entry in the New Super Mario Bros. Franchise following the Nintendo DS title. The game was a return to form for those who preferred the good old days of Mario games when you didn't have to deal with a Z-axis or have to collect stars or race athletic Koopas. The title would finally introduce proper couch co-op multiplayer where up to 4 players could play at the same time. Gone were the days where player 2 had to wait for player 1 to finish their business before playing. In fact, they could get right up in player 1's business at any time they wanted, either to hinder or help. The game also introduced some new power-ups like the propeller suit and some catchy new theme songs. My favorite addition being the inclusion of an accordion in the Mario music universe. The next obvious title on this list is our good old pal DK in Donkey Kong Country Returns. This was yet another rebirth for a 2D platformer after a 14-year slumber. While the game looks a lot simpler due to its 2D nature, this game would actually end up using 3 times more textures and polygons than Metroid Prime 3 Corruption, both developed by Retro Studio. In terms of gameplay, the Donkey Kong Country formula is geared to be more challenging than a Mario platformer. DK plays as a much heavier character, and the mechanic of rolling and bouncing off enemies becomes critical to master for completionists who want to find all the hidden goodies in each level. For those who aren't usually completionists, it's worth noting that the reward to do so in this game is quite worth it as it unlocks additional levels on the map, including a whole extra bonus world. Now wouldn't you say that's quite appealing? Now before that masterpiece graced the Wii, there was another Donkey Kong platforming game released the year prior, Donkey Kong Jungle Beats, now with new play controls.
New play control, Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. Move your character with the nunchuck. Press the A button to jump.
While this game is technically a port of the GameCube game, they did such an overhaul in terms of controls and even level design, it deserves to be recognized as its own title on the Wii. Sure, it's not as sexy now, stripped of its seductive bongos, but it actually plays more like a proper platformer, letting players control DK with the analog stick. You'll still have to waggle your Wiimote around like a thirsty teenager to clap and stuff, but if you're not flailing around, is it even a Wii game? Overall, the game was well received, with its main criticism being that it's too short, that some bosses are kind of repetitive, and that players experience sore arms from beating it too hard. Outside of its catchy gameplay and music, players will also find some pretty cool exclusive bosses only found in this title, such as Dread Kong or Karate Kong. And while we're on the topic of games requiring you to beat it, our next title is Wario Land Shake It, a game that doesn't even try to hide its love for motion controls. The Wario Land franchise doesn't seem to get as much love when it comes to being recognized as part of Nintendo's iconic platformers, despite the series having 6 entries. Alas, to this day, Wario Land Shake It would be the final entry for this franchise. Unless Nintendo announces a new Wario Land for Switch shortly after I post this. Do it, Nintendo. I dare you. Alright, seriously, in hindsight, this game is pretty amazing. It had cartoon visuals that would still hold up perfectly today. It even features some fully animated cutscenes. When's the last time we saw animated cutscenes in a Mario game? Like, never. Visuals aside, the gameplay has your standard platforming mechanics of move, jump, and Wario's signature bash. But now you can also grab things and shake the life out of them, or just steal some money. Once you complete a level the traditional way, by going right, the game will have you rushing back to the left, giving an added level of speedrun feel to the game. Overall, it's just such an amazing game. I'm really surprised we haven't seen more of this franchise as either a port or just as a new entry for the Switch. Come on, Nintendo. I dare you. The Rayman franchise was never really known for being that great at 2D platforming, but holy shit did they knock it out of the park with Rayman Origins. And again with Rayman Legends, but that came after the Wii, so we can't really talk about it here. If you want some simple, smooth 2D platforming, it's all here. Rayman Origins offers fast-paced gameplay of run and jump, and sometimes even punch. The world of Rayman is super strange, from the visuals to the gibberish of the characters to even the enemy designs. Heck, forget the enemies, the main protagonist doesn't even have arms or legs. How weird is that? That's so weird. Where are your arms and legs? The whole point of the game is to basically run through the levels and collect everything. It's simple fun and just so rewarding. This might be sacrilege, but when it comes to my classic platformer experience, I prefer grabbing Rayman over 2D Mario. Yeah, there, I said it.
Hello, happy people! Buckle up as Eggman's ultra-accelerating space elevator whisks you to an interplanetary wonderland of fun!
Another famous third-party character that had a positive return on the Nintendo Wii is our blue friend Sonic in Sonic Colors. This title is a little controversial for this video as it's only partially a 2D platformer. I mean, half the game is played by following Sonic from behind. While Sonic games tend to be hit or miss, this entry was overall well received by most, and I couldn't agree more. The setting for the game is an amusement park, which is appropriate as everything about this game just screams fun. The game has an amazing upbeat soundtrack, including this iconic opening theme song. I'm gonna reach for the stars, although they look pretty far. The visuals are bright and inviting, the gameplay is quick and responsive, the comedy is, well, it's flat as usual, but luckily, that's its weakest point.
Not nearly enough aliens!
Want us to get more?
No, I want you to get me a cheeseburger and a shake!
That'll be easier. Cheeseburgers don't run as fast as them little alien varmints.
Idiot! Get me more aliens!
This was also the title that would introduce Wisps, little colorful aliens that would give Sonic power-ups including rockets, digging in the dirt, and more. If they would just, for a moment, not make Sonic's speed a priority for a game. I know that sounds crazy, but then you would have elements of a really decent Metroidvania game here. Come on, Sega, do a Metroidvania. Now let's hop back into first-party platformers with the pink ball of death, Kirby's Epic Yarn. Nintendo would turn to Kirby as their next character to craftify after the success of other crafty IPs like Paper Mario and Yoshi's Story. As usual, the biggest criticism for a Kirby game is that it's too easy. Heck, you can't even die in this game. But really, the Kirby games aren't exactly known for their difficulty. Kirby's Epic Yarn was developed by the same team as Wario Land's Shake It, which really is a testament to the team's ability to pump out great platformers. The whole game features a unique and beautiful aesthetic which happens to be the game's mechanic. Instead of inhaling enemies, Kirby now ropes them in with his yarn. It can also transform into a bunch of vehicles to make progress, overall lending itself to just a simply fun and charming platformer. Fast forward a year and another great platformer from the Kirby franchise would be born, Kirby's Return to Dreamland. Again, the game is presented more towards a younger audience with the difficulty being on the easy side. You'll find more traditional type of Kirby gameplay here. Inhale enemies, absorb their power, and keep hacking away until you make it to the end. This time, however, up to 3 friends can join for some multiplayer co-op, much akin to New Super Mario Bros. Wii. As a platformer, it was a great way for new Kirby fans who played Epic Yarn to experience the roots of the Kirby franchise, but otherwise, it didn't offer much for veterans. As we get near the end of this platformer list, we'll be slowing things down with some puzzle platformers. They're not really my favorite, but they still count. First up, we have Lost in Shadows, or Shadow's Tale as it's known in Europe and Australia. Why must we rename things for different territories? I really don't get that. In a twist of gameplay, players control a shadow that runs along the background of a level. Puzzles are solved by manipulating light sources to help the shadow progress up a tower to regain its body. This would also be the last game to be developed by the American branch of Hudson Soft, a company that was renowned for the Bomberman series, the TurboGrafx-16, and for being Nintendo's first third-party software vendor for the NES. Hey, the more you know. Unfortunately, in 2012, they would be absorbed by Konami to be tossed into a broom closet alongside Castlevania in the hopes of being used again someday. But we all know how that's going to end. Lastly, a lot of games and concepts from the past were starting to resurface on the Wii, and one forgotten IP got a second chance at life with A Boy and His Blob. The game was developed by now legendary developer WayForward, who reimagined the classic 1989 NES game, A Boy and His Blob, Trouble in Blobolonia. That one just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? Blobolonia, Blobolonia, Blobolonia. I love saying that. This might be why they shortened the title to just A Boy and His Blob. The mechanics of the game are quite simple. You feed the blob various beans, have it transform, and then use it to advance your own agenda. I mean, defeating an evil emperor and save Bologna. And that caps off the 10 2D platformers I'd welcome aboard the 100 best games for the Wii. Did I miss any you'd say are must-plays? Let me know and I'll see you next time as we continue to list off the Wii 100. Until next time, keep it classy.